What?
But the Minister of Public Secretary, which isn't a thing here, so I don't know what he does. But he's a Minister of Public Security. Did I say Secretary? The Minister of Public Security. He said, nah, those bullets were stolen from a post office storage facility a long time ago.
Yeah, because if I'm a thief and I'm thinking about where to get the most moolah on something really worthwhile, I'm going to rob the fucking post office.
Yeah. So the post office came out and released an official statement and were like, no, we did our job. We delivered the bullets to you.
I thought you were just going to say they were like, no.
No.
That's
all. So then he retracted his statement.
Good.
He was like, just kidding. They weren't stolen. But like I think he just literally was like, no, they were stolen. But the post office was like, fuck that. We do our job.
Yeah, nobody came in here stealing anything.
Yeah. I think maybe he thought they wouldn't. Then nothing happened for almost a year until January 2019. It was hard to find information about these two, so bear with me. But in January 2019, police arrested one for something else, then put a warrant out for another. There were two suspects in the case. Ronald Paulo Alves Pieria.
Okay.
And Adriano Magalhaes.
Magalhaes?
No Brega.
I don't know. No Brega? Okay.
No Brega.
That's easier.
Okay. So they were not suspected of physically carrying it out, but they were wanted in questioning, like somehow linked to the crime.
Okay.
So everyone's talking about this case. After Marielle's killed and after they bring in these suspects, people took to the streets. They're protesting.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what's happening right now. People were pissed.
Yeah.
They suspected the police. Like it seemed like a hit. And then they're bringing in these two guys who are like known hitmen. Like it's just crazy. So while everyone's talking about this, the president of Brazil will not comment on the double murder. He's got nothing to say despite all the protests, all the questions. Like he won't say anything. Then in March 2019, two more suspects are arrested, both former police, both friends with the president. One was the neighbor of the president. He lived in his gated community. And the two men were Ronnie Lessa and Eliseo Vieira. In November 2019, the media linked the president and his son Carlos to the double murder. So all this is like the media being like, yo, Perez, what you gotta say? You know these people?
Yeah.
This guy was your neighbor.
Well, and also as the president, like make a statement.
Yeah.
That's your job, to care for the people.
The two former officers, Ronnie Lessa and Eliseo Vieira, denied any involvement, but prosecutors said that Marielle's murder had been planned by the men for 3 months before it happened, and they thought that these two were the men who physically carried it out. Ronnie, who was a retired police officer, is accused of pulling the trigger while Eliseo drove. And they just said he was an ex-cop, so I don't know if he got fired or quit or whatever, but
yeah.
And then Ronnie was retired. Their laptops, phones, and weapons were all seized, and the investigation into them lasted about a year. And then it led them to one of Ronnie's friends. So they searched Ronnie's friend's home when they linked his friend, and they found 117 rifles, 3 silencers, and 500 rounds of ammo in the home of one of Ronnie's friends. And it was the biggest gun bust to happen in a long fucking time. 117 rifles.
Fucking why? Like, why? That's so egregious. That's so much.
Yeah.
You would never need that much for anything.
Yeah. But there's still no solid answer. So police arrested these two, or questioned these two random guys. And then they have these 2 cops. But it's just, but there has to be more, right? Like, why? There's no solid answers. Why was she murdered? Who ordered the hit? Was it a hit? Like,
yeah.
How did you find these people? Like, wait, there's not much information about the investigation. But the media keeps connecting the president to these people. Like the president knows all 4 of these men now, especially he's one of their fucking neighbors. So finally the president makes a statement and he's like, because the media actually releases pictures of the president with those cops. So the president's finally like, it's only a coincidence. There's pictures of me with lots of cops. And then the media goes, yeah, but your son dated Ronnie's daughter. And the president's like, I don't know Ronnie. And they're like, he's your neighbor.
And you were in a photo, like lots of photos with him. And also he's your neighbor.
Yeah. So. And he just keeps being like, no. I know lots of cops. Like, I don't know them. But like, even though you have my picture with them, like you have my picture with lots of cops. So like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, God.
He said he doesn't know Ronnie and doesn't know Eliseo, even though they're neighbor. Oh, he says he doesn't socialize with neighbors. That's what the president of Brazil says.
He never needs a cup of sugar.
He's too good.
Doesn't need that extra egg.
Protests break out all over the fucking place, even a year later, because people are like, we want fucking answers.
Good.
Now you're linking cops. The president they want fucking answers.
Yeah.
Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International come out. They write articles. They demand justice. After the president's denial, Globo, which is sounds funny,
Yeah, it does.
but it's Brazil's largest television network.
Okay.
The Globo reminds me of V for Vendetta.
Oh, you know what? I've never seen V for Vendetta.
Oh, it's so good. I watched it the other night.
Oh, I need to watch it because I've been meaning to since it came out, which was a million years ago, and I just never did.
It's on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
So Globo, Brazil's largest television network, reported that Alicio, which is one of the cops arrested, visited the gated community that the president and Ronnie lived in just hours before Marielle was murdered. The security guard on duty that day said that Alicio was there to see Ronnie, so the other man, and the president. Like the security guard.
But the president doesn't associate with neighbors.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, it gets better. The president then released a 23-minute video, once again denying a link to either man. And then he rambled on, almost tearfully. It's the weirdest, like almost crying and rambling on, attacking Brazil's media, attacking other politicians. I mean, he's like a super far right guy, the president, Jair or something. He threatens not to renew Globo's television license in this 23-minute video.
I mean, that sounds, no matter where you stand politically, that sounds a lot like the threats that Trump makes for a variety of different content being released. Yeah.
Yeah. It also reminds me again of the Chancellor from V for Vendetta. And if you watch it,
Okay.
So he just goes on this 23-minute rant, the media, and I'm not going to let Globo make shows anymore. Meh. Then he also says, because the security guard came forward and was like, no, I know that he was there to see those two because I'm the one who has to buzz him in. So the president is like, I'm going to have my own men re-interview the security guy. So the guard is re-interviewed by one of the president's men. And the guard says the same thing. He says, look, on the day of Marielle's murder, Alicio came. And then so the security guard had to call the president's home to let him in, president's home twice. And one of the times spoke with Ronnie. But so he said, this guy shows up at the security gate that I'm working. I call the president's house and I talked to Ronnie and he lets him in. Clearly he was going to see you.
Yeah.
So the president said, listen, I wasn't even home that day. And the security guard is either misremembering or he's being manipulated by a third party to set me up.
By Globo.
That's his response. He's like, no, I wasn't even home. But even if I was, the security guard is just being manipulated by someone.
Is it you? Is it you?
And so this case is all over the place.
Yeah.
And we're still what the fuck actually happened? And there's all these connections. But the president's the media's hey, here's a picture of you. And he's like, nah. And then the media's like, hey, and he's like, nah. That's basically this case. The media keeps going we found this and we found this and we want answers. And the president's like,
no,
nah. For 23 minutes, I'm just gonna say nah.
I don't have anything else, but
it's not true.
No,
I was set up. Then in February 2020, Adriano Nebrego, the one I was trying to say earlier, so one of the men linked early on, and I still can't really figure out how they were linked or what was going on with those first two men, obviously because I think police are covering this up, but he was killed by police in February 2020.
If that's not the proof you needed.
He was killed in a shootout.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah. Monica, Marielle's widow, took to Twitter to ask, quote, who gained the death from ex-Special Forces Captain Adriano Nebrego? So again, he's also ex-cop. So she's like, let's think about this. Who benefits from him being murdered? Maybe the police who murdered him. So people again protest, and they're literally calling this witness elimination. They're calling out the police. They're accusing the police of murdering Marielle. They're accusing the police of murdering Adriano. Adriano also had strong links to the president, unless you ask the president.
I don't associate with neighbors. Sir, this guy was not your neighbor. He was, and I don't associate with him.
We have a picture of you with him. I don't know him.
I don't know.
I take pictures with lots of strangers.
What's the camera? Not sure.
I wasn't even home. Police say that they killed Adriano because he shot at them first, which is always the story.
It was self-defense. Come on.
So the two cops or previous cops who were arrested, Alicio and Ronnie, are in jail. They were arrested and tried for physically carrying out the murder, but that's it. So it's still considered unsolved in many ways because Everyone believes and agrees that a hit was carried out and that the president's probably linked, but that's so like they found the people who physically did it, but that's it. There's still so many questions and I don't even know. I feel like the two police like clearly did it, but they're just taking the fall. I don't know. So it's this whole kind of mess of a thing. I don't know much about like that's all I know and that's all I could find.
It's kind of like some of these are answered like the when and the where, but it's almost like the who, what, where, when, why thing. It's like, I don't know who, what, where, and why.
I feel like we all know who and why. It very clearly, maybe the president didn't order the hit. Like, I don't even know if who knows, but.
Maybe he knew, or maybe he was trying to, maybe it was his right hand.
Yeah.
Like,
but this case clearly goes up the chain and there's a lot of police corruption. There's government corruption. Here you have this Black queer woman who's on city council and she's the only one who looks like her, the only one who identifies sexually like she does.
Yeah.
And then she's assassinated. But the president wasn't home. So like, I don't know. This case drives me crazy because I want so many more answers. And I read so many articles and they're all just like, the articles kind of go from like, she was this great person and did all these things. And then she was murdered. And then a year later, these two cops were arrested and the president probably has something to do with it. But that's it. There's no like, we want fucking answers.
Yeah.
It was also protested like in New York and in London. I don't remember hearing about this case.
Yeah, maybe I wasn't paying attention.
Excuse me. I think too locally, and I'm trying to really pay attention to what's going on in America, especially with all the protests and with everything going on and with so many local cases that need attention, Black people being murdered. It's just, it's such a mess here right now that like this International Month has really been an eye opener because I'm like, holy fuck, like, I don't know. I'm starting to not believe in humans and just think we're all garbage across the board.
No,
I don't. But it's just. Yeah, I've been paying so much attention to America, and
then you realize
how shitty we are in so many ways. But
every country or community is problematic in some sort of way, and it's hard to look at them. And it's easy to think whatever country you live in, like your mind is really absorbed in that because that's where you live and what you know and blah, blah, blah. And then when you look to other countries, you're like, oh my gosh, like they have such huge problems that are sometimes similar to ours, like with the police brutality. And you're like, this happens there too. Like sometimes it's easy to overlook because we're very focused on what's around us.
And I was talking to a friend about this the other day. And, I was kind of saying like all these things that are happening and police brutality and just all these like kind of like venting and complaining and just like getting all the stuff off my chest, all this stuff that's just weighing so heavy. And she was just immediately like, so you hate America? Like, but America, the only reason you can say this is you have free speech. And I'm like, first of all, recognizing that there's problems in our country doesn't mean I hate our country. I want our country to be better for everyone.
Yeah.
To me, that is loving it more. Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I was like so mad when she said that. I was just like,
it's hard.
Slow down.
It's hard to get others, whether or not you were trying to make her agree, but like, it's hard to get others to see your point of view, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
Two, when it is hard to be accountable and hard to say, you know what, I love, XYZ so much that I really do want to make it better. Sometimes I think people confuse love for thinking something is already exemplary. It's like, no, like there's always a way to be better.
Listen, if I'm dating a guy and he is doing all this bad stuff, you're going to be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I'm going to be like, no, he's great. Treat America like you'd treat that dude I'm dating and see the red flag. That's all I ask.
There are some red, white, and blue flags.
Treat America like the 10th Michael that Caitlin would date and call out his red flag.
We can always do better. Anyway, we won't preach anymore about that.
Yeah. Okay, get another beer and I'll shut up.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, what beer do you have for us?
Okay, hand over your glass while I'm sharing.
I'm handing over my glass.
Okay, so the beer is Maui from Maui Brewing Company. It's called the Coconut Hiwa. And
what?
Coconut Hiwa, or is it Hiwa?
Not all Hiwas wear capes. No, that's dumb. I don't know. Hiwa?
Hiwa. It's Hiwa. It might be Hiwa.
Hawa.
It might be Hawa. I bet it's Hawa.
Hawa.
Well, Hawaii. I bet it's Hawa.
Hawaii.
If you speak Hawaiian, we'd love to know. So I think it's Coconut Hawa.
If you're not a white asshole trying to say it like us.
I really did try. It's a porter. says a robust dark ale with hand-toasted coconut and hints of mocha. It's a 6% alcohol by volume.
Speaking of pronunciation,
Yeah.
Barb, I'm so sorry. I